Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for another episode of Wyoming Doesn't Exist, which really doesn't have anything to do with the joke about Wyoming not existing. I just needed a name. Um, Today we've got however much time we have before the tiny child in the next room wakes up and demands attention. Um, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Mrs. Facade,
Hello.
and today we're going to follow up a little bit on something we talked about yesterday, which I think is absolutely fascinating. It's the uh, absurd prevalence of bear attacks in Japan. Um, I think we mentioned yesterday that the US has bear attacks and states with a lot of bears and, you know, people wandering around bear country always do have some bear attacks every year, but it's usually, you know, one or two people in a state maybe might get mauled per year. And usually people don't die, right? They run into a black bear and the black bear swipes at them with the paw and then runs off. Um, Japan has had 100 maulings since April of this year, and at least 12 deaths from just bears, to the point where they called out the military to help them set bear traps. And most of what the military has done is um, non-lethal. I'm going to turn my mic down a skosh. I'm getting kind of loud. But most of what the military has done has been non-lethal measures, cage traps, that sort of thing. I'm starting to think they may need more than that because yesterday we were speculating, oh, it's probably because they've got all these isolated villages that are having population decline and the people living there are more on the elderly side, so they wander out into the woods to go after mushrooms, etc., and suddenly stumble across a bear. But no, I don't. It doesn't look like that's it because after stream ended last night, Mrs. Facade found this astonishing video from NHK, the Japanese TV broadcaster, talking about um, talking about all these bear attacks. So I thought we'd go over it, watch, and react because it's way crazier than I thought it was. So let me add this source and we will play and see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
All right.
Japan has had a record number of bear attacks this year. Bears have killed 7 people since April, and they have hurt at least 44 this month alone.
And I should double check this because I think this is a few months old.
Let's see here. 3 weeks ago,
Oh, okay.
October 17th, 2025.
Okay. So
So
this
not
is
actually, yeah.
not actually that long ago. I wonder if Cowboy State Daily got different information than NHK has. They may be off. It's a small Wyoming news site, not exactly um, plugged in to Asian news as a general rule. But let's play a little more of this. Even so, 7 deaths since April is something regardless.
And now, a man
Gonna
has been
turn on
found
the
dead near
captions.
a hot spring, and police suspect another bear. A man was found dead in woods in the northeastern prefecture of Iwate. Police say the body may be that of a hot spring employee who went missing the day before while he was cleaning an outdoor bath.
Just
Authorities found a
get
1.5
mauled.
meter long
At a hot spring.
Yeah, just getting mauled at a hot spring is crazy.
bear near the body and killed it with help from hunters.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Okay, so
oh,
they did get a hunter to kill it. That's holy cow. Look at all of the blaze orange there. They are not messing about.
yeah.
They also found blood stains in and near the bath. A person staying at the hot spring spoke to NHK.
Lots of day trippers come here. They go in the open air bath, so this is really frightening.
Okay, this is the
Yeah.
An
wow.
attack earlier this month
Like she's
came
just
in
walking
the
along.
neighboring prefecture of Akita. A woman in her 80s
Because our
was taking
impression
a
when we
walk
talked about
when
this
a
last night was that, it was sure the bears are encroaching into the sort of these, frankly, suburban urban areas. But people are, oh, I accidentally surprised a bear. It's reacting to me coming around the corner, not I'm taking a leisurely stroll and
Yeah,
suddenly a bear comes up behind me.
we were anticipating people surprising bears in the woods, not people walking around a suburban area or even urban area. I mean, this is paved and not like some roads in Wyoming are paved where it's pavement and then nothing for miles and miles. This is, hey, look, we've got buildings. People live here. There's clearly some sort of sewer system. This is not a lonely paved road somewhere out in the sticks where this woman is walking. This is actual human inhabitants has happened here. Um, that's crazy.
Absolutely insane. Like those are aggressive animals. At that point, that's just aggressive aggression. That's
Yeah,
not normal uh, d- normal wildlife.
minding
I'm
my
just
own
doing
business.
my
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, that's get off my territory. Da da da.
right. That's, oh, look, you're a woman in your 80s. That makes you um, excellent prey to eat. That
Hmm.
poor lady, her scream is actually pretty harrowing. Um,
Yeah.
bear attacked her from behind. She suffered injuries and needed stitches in her face. She
oof.
is still
Face. It went for her
traumatized.
face.
Yeah, I bet she's still
It was
traumatized.
sudden. I only remember the feeling that it was a bear. I won't go out by myself anymore. I
Yeah, I
don't
Like,
know
bet you
where a
won't.
bear might appear.
yeah, and I'm sure that there are people who might be going, well, it's not that big of an animal, but that doesn't
It
doesn't
really doesn't
matter.
matter.
I mean,
Even I mean, okay, she's an 80-year-old Japanese woman. She's probably not the biggest person in the world, and the bear is
yeah,
still, shorter than her. And honestly, that looked like a cub to me, like
yeah,
an
maybe
adolescent.
y- yeah,
Um, but even so, it doesn't really matter if the bear is only the size of like a large dog when they've got giant, horrifying claws on each paw and nice sharp teeth. I mean, big dogs get used for guard duty and kill people all the time, and bears have even more nasty things to work with. So,
yeah, yeah. It's I think anyone who's ever been sadly, attacked by a dog of even 50 pounds would argue, yeah, it doesn't in the moment, the size doesn't matter that much because
it's big enough.
it's big enough, and us humans, we don't have the teeth and claws advantage. We
Yeah, yeah, we are soft, squishy, hairless apes. All of our advantages come from tools. Um,
exactly.
An attack
so,
also happened in a tourist destination, the village of Shirakawa. A Spanish man
Tourist
suffered
destination.
arm injuries when a bear ambushed
oh
him near
wow,
a bus stop.
Bus stop. Like that's where people
Yeah, that's
just
where people congregate. That
I'm
tells me,
just baffled by the behavior of these bears. Like you can see in the background how many people are just out walking. That's
yeah,
nuts to me because I mean, at least even in the US, not just Wyoming, usually in the US, if you've got a group of people like this, the bears don't
the bears don't come close.
no.
Um, that's astonishing.
Like you'll hear stories out of Yellowstone all the time about a tourist who got too close to a bear. It was not the bear's decision, you know,
Right,
or a crowd of tourists kept inching closer, and then the bear was like, "Okay, I'm putting my foot down."
right. I
But
mean,
a
but
bear just walking up to a bus stop and
well, and frequently in the US, those sorts of events end up being bluff charges rather than
Mhm.
actual
Yeah,
maulings, right?
they're just
It's,
trying to get you
hey,
away.
back off, bud. This is, yeah, holy cow. That's incredible. Um,
Yeah.
I, I must say I'm really surprised. So let's,
It's quite dangerous if a bear's roaming around freely. I wouldn't have expected it. Like it kind of could have been us.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but so no, I definitely need to ask more around and be careful.
An attack was also reported closer to Tokyo. In the city of Numata in Gunma Prefecture early this month, a bear walked into a
Moving in a grocery
supermarket in a
store
residential area and hurt 2
and
people.
attacking people.
oh wow. I mean, every so often you'll see funny surveillance video of like a gas station in middle
Yeah.
of nowhere, Montana, having a bear waltz in through the doors, but they usually leave without attacking people.
Yeah, or it's like a raccoon, like a very urbanized small animal that goes, "I'm a person."
Right. Every so often that'll happen, but this sort of just waltzing into a grocery store and attacking
With the
people.
attitude of, "This is my store, get off my turf," basically.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I think there were about 30 or 40 customers in the store. I was
30 or
guiding.
40 people
That's a
already
lot of
in the
people.
store. And yeah, bears in the US won't even come close to an area if there's that many people there, unless it
No.
has cubs it's trying to protect. And even then, that's like the idiots we've seen in Yellowstone getting out of their cars in
Yeah,
April to go try to get a better picture of the grizzlies that have just woken up and are really hungry. Um,
yeah.
you'll see that sometimes, but
Or like
not
a really sick, like disoriented bear, like super, and even then it wouldn't really attack, it'd just kind of stagger around and go, ugh.
yeah.
So,
That's impressive.
Customers to safety, but I don't know where the bear went. I'd heard on the news about bears going into shops, so I knew it happened, but I never expected one here.
実際うちだとは全然思いもよらなかったので。
NHK World's Ichige Hiroshi is covering the spate of bear attacks, and he's here with us for more insight. So Hiroshi, deaths from bear attacks are at a record high this year, and injuries are happening at the same record
this
pace
is
as
interesting
in
too, their expert
2023. So
input.
why is this happening this year?
Experts blame a decrease in hunters and a corresponding increase in bears. And they
That
I
scans.
mean, yeah, I mean, I would just, I'm like, just give all these store owners guns. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
If wildlife is this aggressive, you have to, it's in the wildlife's best interest and the people's best interest to start,
enforcing certain
yeah,
boundaries.
you
Yes.
have to start killing these aggressive bears.
Yeah, that's that is one of the downsides of a very strict gun control
Mm-hmm.
and hunting licensure system. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Japanese. I don't get to tell them how to run their country, obviously. Um, but if you make it too onerous, if you put too many barriers in front of people, you don't,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the population decreases, right? I spent a semester studying in the UK and tried to join the rifle team. Obviously, I'm not a superb shot and didn't get on. And frankly, I was kind of surprised that the university even had a rifle team in the first place, because a lot of universities in the US don't even. But when I got there, I was shocked to discover that the population was basically all Americans abroad with a smattering of people from um, like the Channel Islands where licensure restrictions are lower. And that's what happens, right? If you set up too many barriers, this pipeline of hunting and shooting enthusiasts decreases, and there's knock-on effects from that. For example, you don't have enough hunters to keep the bear population in check, and then the bears start wandering into stores and attacking people, which sounds like something out of the fever dream of an NRA spokesman, and yet here we have somebody saying basically that on Japanese television. Astonishing.
Say declining human populations
Yeah.
in rural areas are causing bears to move towards urban areas. Bears and humans typically live in different
That's
territories.
so
They are separated
interesting.
by
They
a
have a
buffer
term
zone
for it.
that's Japan.
Yeah, Satoyama.
Sorry, I've watched this video already. I realize I'm talking a little ahead of what they're
People
about to
called
bring up.
Satoyama.
Satoyama.
Bears used to stay away from Satoyama because they knew they'd encounter humans if they crossed over. But decreasing human populations in urban areas mean fields and other parts of land have been abandoned. So bears can now come closer to human habitats.
So, Hiroshi, is the climate playing a role too?
Experts say there is an impact from global warming. Higher temperatures mean fewer nuts. Bears need to eat a lot of acorns in autumn before.
I
Okay.
find that
No.
unlikely. Um,
Here's what I think. I think if there is food scarcity for the bears, which there totally could be, pushing them into these areas, it's because their population is out of control. Like,
yeah, yeah, I mean, maybe
yeah,
they've had
maybe.
a few warm seasons and that's decreased acorns and other food production, but generally that's not actually how it works, right? You
No.
need warmer temperatures to prompt growth. Um,
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
but either way, I don't think that's the largest factor. I think he hit the largest
Hmm.
factors right off the bat, which is we're not controlling the population at all, and so
Hmm.
between that and decreased population density in these urban areas, they're getting bolder.
Hmm. Yeah.
they hibernate. So bears come down to residential areas to look for food. There was also a poor supply of acorns in 2023, and there were lots of bear attacks.
We just saw bears showing up in
I
supermarkets
also-
and hot spring resorts.
I
Are they
also think
becoming
there's an
less
aspect
worried?
of just what's easy. I mean, we talked about
Yeah.
that last night too. These predators will go for what's easiest, and if farmland's being abandoned, like I think I read. There was a number of different articles we read over this last night, but I read about like persimmon trees and chestnut trees. If there's just fields of those sitting out abandoned, then yeah, I think a bear's going to go for that and gorge itself rather than tromping through the woods, trying to find
Right.
a random scattering of trees. I don't think it's so much a there's no food elsewhere except.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a relationship here with the increased mechanization of farming too,
Mm,
right? if you're able to grow more crops with fewer people, um, I mean, that's great for the affordability of food, but um, it means that the bears aren't going to know that there's people out around those fields as often. Um, and one machine being driven by one person to harvest an entire field is going to smell a lot different than having a bunch of farm workers out in a field shaking stuff off of trees. So that might make them bolder as well.
Yeah.
Of humans.
Experts say bears may have learned in 2023 that human habitats are good sources of food. They say bears may now be coming back in hopes of getting more. These urban
That
bears
sounds
are
about
not
right.
afraid of humans, and their
Yep.
numbers are on the rise.
How do you fix that problem?
And when bears come
I
close to
wonder.
human habitats as a
They're not
family,
afraid of
the
humans.
cubs tend to want territory there as they grow. So all these factors mean more encounters between bears and people in human.
Yeah, this is what we've already said, right? You've got more contact, and if the contact doesn't result in at least relocation, if not actual, culling of the population learns, oh, we can waltz into these territories and they will do nothing about it.
Yeah, I remember this is a while ago, but there was like an episode of that show about really rural Alaska, Life Below Zero,
Mm-hmm.
and there was that woman who just basically manned that one runway strip literally in the middle of nowhere, and she came out of her, I guess you could call it a house, one day, and she found signs of, was it a badger? It was an animal that could cause her serious problems, like injure her if it was too aggressive and too bold. And I remember
Might have been a wolverine.
yeah, Wolverine. That's it, a Wolverine. I was not a badger, but she was like, hell no, I have to put my foot down now. So what she did, because she didn't know exactly where its burrow was, she just came out with her rifle and she just shot a bunch of rounds into the rifle because it would hear, it would hear the shots,
Mm-hmm.
and the next day, um, the foxes that she'd like quasi domesticated were back because that was her warning system, was if the foxes had left, she knew that there was a predator in the area that needed to be warned away. But I mean, that's how they communicate. That's how they understand each other is, you know,
Right.
this is my territory. If you encroach on it, there will be consequences. And if you don't show that there's consequences, the predator goes, you're a weaker predator. Therefore, I get to make the rules.
Right. Therefore, I can encroach on your territory because it's not actually your territory because you're not defending it. That's,
Mhm.
how this works. Um, I'm, I'm just really, really entertained by, hang on, is this,
Uh-oh.
mm,
Technical troubles.
let me double check my settings here.
Stand by, everyone. Thanks for your patience.
Mm-hmm. Be gone. Nope, it should be fine.
All right.
Um, I think Kick's dashboard is just behind the times.
Get with the program, Kick.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, I was looking in the wrong spot. That's
Ah.
hardly surprising.
Get with the program, YO.
Yeah, get with the program, me. Good job, dolt. Anyway, um, yeah, they're gonna have to start killing these bears,
Mhm.
because I don't think they have enough backcountry in Japan to relocate them
Mhm.
effectively. Not not at scale. So
Yeah.
that only really leaves one option, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, here we'll finish the video.
Yeah,
I've
let's
had the
finish the
thoughts,
video.
but yeah.
And bears not afraid of humans sounds quite alarming, concerning to me. How long should people stay on the alert?
Bears typically go into hibernation in winter, but encounters have been reported as late as December. It can be helpful to look at bear sighting maps issued by local governments. Here's an example. This sighting map was issued by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. It gives a sense
Whoa,
of where
whoa, 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 whoa,
Tokyo
whoa.
Metropolitan Government? Tokyo?
I mean, okay, it looks like that's pretty far outside the core of Tokyo, but even so, that is really close. I mean, I don't think you'd see anywhere near that density of bears near like Denver.
No, no.
Um,
I mean, you have to get outside Denver quite a ways before you start worrying about bears.
yeah, that's crazy. I feel like that's all I'm saying. That's crazy.
Well, have they done any like bear census? Like, do they know how many bears are out there? Like, have they tracked the population growth at all?
Well, I
Because
think
this
so
tells me their
because
population is just through the roof.
well, the population I think has grown. He said at the start that
Hmm.
um, part of the issue is population growth, but also that Cowboy State Daily article we read yesterday mentioned that they had something like 54,000 bears in Japan.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Um,
So they have been tracking it.
they're tracking something. It's just
Yeah.
uh, part of it too, though, is Japan doesn't have a central fish and wildlife organization the way the US does, right? You don't
Yeah.
have a game and fish. So I wonder how effective their survey, like how comprehensive their censuses are for wildlife populations. I mean, if anybody's going to be really good about it, it'll be Japan and like Switzerland, right? Um,
Yeah.
but this is astonishing. That is astonishing how close it is.
Yeah.
bears might be. If we zoom in, we can see dots representing bear sightings. Red represent incidents in the past month, but the blue dots are also important. Blue represents sightings older than 3 months. If you recall, there was a spike in bear attacks in 2023, so looking at the places where bears have been seen over roughly the past 3 years can also be useful. People should also remember that
I just, I gotta say, um, I find it entertaining how there's a specific linguistic term for this of noises made to indicate that you are paying attention in a conversation. And they're not, they exist in English speaking countries, but they're not hugely emphasized, right? They exist, but they're not a fixture of conversation. Um, the repeated hmms from the other two presenters on this are really entertaining me because that is such a it's it's clearly a verbal tick from speaking Japanese that they have continued to use even when they are speaking
Yes.
English. Um, and it's not, wrong or bad or anything. It's just a funny verbal quirk that
Yes.
I can't help but notice.
bear attacks tend to happen between evening and morning, and they should make sure there are no acorns or things bears like to eat in places where they walk. The government is
In almost any other country, don't have anything that bears like to eat where you walk would be like, how am I supposed to manage that, right?
Yeah, they eat
In an
pretty
urban,
much
and
anything.
they eat pretty much anything, and
Excuse me.
unless you're someplace like in the mountains in
Mhm.
Colorado, the default is not bear-proof trash containers, right?
Yeah.
Um, but in Japan, I would believe that in an urban area you could have a street so clean that there's nothing on it that bears would care about.
Yeah. Well, you remember camping as kids, the counselors or teachers we were with, they'd be like, "All right, everyone put everything in the duffel bag to string up the tree tonight,
Hmm.
including toothpaste,
Hmm.
deodorant, anything that could potentially smell like it's edible." You
Hmm.
know, uh, so, don't have things that taste good to bears where they walk. You're kind of just uh,
Unfortunately, part of it too, um, if you haven't done anything to convince the bears that your territory is not theirs, you might be something that bears like to eat. Um, and
yes.
that's going to be difficult.
Trying to control the number of wild bears by catching them, but people in areas where they could encounter bears need to protect themselves by carrying belts and bear spray.
Belts?
Belts?
Belts? What, you gonna
Oh,
whip a bear?
bells.
Oh, thank you. Glad you picked up
The
on that.
the auto captions are not always perfect with um, people speaking English as a foreign language.
Yes.
That's bells, not belts.
Sorry, I'm
Bells.
just picturing an 80-year-old woman just whipping her belts off her pants and being like, back, back, just whipping. That'll
Sort
go
of
over
an
well.
Indiana Jones,
Yes, yes,
Indiana Jones and the Matsutake mushroom hunt.
yes. All
Oh, okay.
right. Yeah. So while we were talking, I poked around a little bit because I was curious what Asiatic black bears, what their diet consists of
Mm,
usually.
mm-hmm.
And I sent the link to you too. And
Okay.
but and I mean, it's with any bear, it's kind of hard to say this is what they eat because bears are, I swear, they're like the most omnivorous of creatures in
They're
existence.
pretty, yeah.
Yeah, they will just eat what they can if it's there and easy to get. But it sounds like they mostly eat like veg, like vegetation, grass, leaves, berries, nuts, seeds, na 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 na. And then sometimes small invertebrate or small vertebrates, not invertebrates.
Mhm.
Carrion, rodents, obviously bees and honey. Um, but there's a note on this page I'm looking at that they're highly opportunistic.
Mhm.
So they'll eat whatever's available. But I see that there's this whole thing about black Asiatic bears being exploited for bile.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like, are they endangered? Is that part of the issue? I don't see anything explicitly saying they're endangered in Japan, but eh,
I
I
don't
wonder
think
maybe
that would be
that's
an issue because I think
yeah.
that's a Chinese medicine thing, as with so many
Ah, okay.
bizarre wildlife things. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be worried about that
yeah,
in Japan, but that's still interesting.
yeah. I was just yeah, it's just my brain poking around. So,
I,
hmm. This is a rabbit hole that I didn't think would go so deep.
yeah, it's really quite astonishing. Japan is going to really need to do something about this because
Mhm.
with declining populations, they're not going to. I think with declining populations, the necessity of individual action to protect oneself from bears is going to become more pressing, right?
Mhm.
You're not going to have the density. Well, the density may increase, but if you don't have as many people, there's going to be that transitional period where bears are encroaching and humans are retreating, but they haven't it hasn't equalized, right? And that's when all these attacks are going to happen.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
So I guess if you go to Japan, bring bear spray.
Apparently, that's the lesson to take from this is
Yes.
if you're going to Japan, bring bear spray. And I find myself wondering, do they let you?
Yeah, would that be a customs issue? Also, I guess you could consider it a weapon, I
Right.
suppose, under.
Well, I mean, you're not allowed to have bear spray in the
Yeah.
UK because they consider it a weapon.
Wait, seriously, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't
My
carry
God.
anything that could be a weapon in the UK because the UK is
Because it's
run
the
by
UK.
cucks. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, there was a big push. Well, I don't know how big it actually was in the UK, but it was relatively newsworthy on uh, the site formerly known as Twitter, um, of English women saying, "Hey, can we carry bear spray, please, or pepper spray rather, because we we've got all these people running around with knives stabbing people on trains, and our
Mm.
defense is hoping that someone near us was drinking cider and has a bottle they can smack them with." Um, this no pepper spray thing seems like it's a detriment. Now, I don't think pepper spray would actually ward off somebody intent on stabbing you, but that's the state of the UK. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Japan, it sounds like from that article we were reading yesterday, it sounds like they do let you. You can carry bear spray, and they do import it. But I mean, they're bears, right? I've got a cousin who works in the is it the Brooks Range in Alaska?
Can't remember, but it's, the
One of those.
the way out there in Alaska.
Yeah, he took this job, and I'll be circumspect about what it is, but it involves getting way out into the middle of nowhere, um, in partnership with maybe one or two other people, but you have to split up from time to time. And when he started, he knew that I was the guy in the family with some knowledge of firearms. So he reached out to me to say, "Hey, what's your thing um, about bear defense guns? What would you recommend?" And at first I told him, "Look, just get a big 44 Magnum, call it good. A 44 or a 10 millimeter, call it good." Um, and he was insistent that his first line of short range defense was going to be bear spray. And it would be if he had medium range needs, like 50 yards, he could see the bear wanted to charge him. He wanted to carry a shotgun or a rifle. And um, he was quickly disabused of that when
It did
he
not take
actually
much
ended
time.
up going out there, because it turns out, A, shotguns are really heavy, and even the heaviest handgun is lighter. And B, uh, bear spray is not universally effective. And in fairness, neither are handguns.
Hmm.
But you hilariously are probably more likely to stop the bear with a Glock 20 in 10 millimeter than you are with bear spray. I mean,
Hmm.
it's the classic joke about forest rangers giving people advice on dealing with black bears versus grizzly bears. Have I told you that one?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, the joke goes, guy goes to Denali and asks a park ranger, "Hey, what do you recommend for dealing with bears? I've got bells and bear spray. Um, how do you tell the difference between a black bear and a grizzly? And how do I know which territory I'm in?" And the park ranger says, well, bells and bear spray are good for black bears. So if you're in black bear territory, you'll probably be pretty safe with that. You'll be walking around and the scat will have berries in it and, nuts. And maybe if they're lucky, they caught salmon or something, but it'll mostly be berries and nuts. Um, and if you're in grizzly bear territory, you'll know you're in grizzly bear territory because you'll walk around and you'll see scat and it'll smell like bear spray and have little bells in it. So
I think you have told me that one, but I forgot it.
it's it's my favorite bear joke.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Hmm.
Sorry, excuse me.
Stop dying. So that's bear attacks in Japan, which I never thought I'd be talking about. Um, but here we go.
It
Oh man,
was not on our 2025 bingo card. Anyway.
no, it wasn't. And here's another video. Um, 4 men attacked by bear in Akita. One bear culled in Tokyo. Um,
That's bonkers.
yeah,
And
yeah,
at least they culled it.
yeah, yeah. October 20th of this year, the bear, um, 4 men were attacked by a bear in Akita Prefecture, and one bear was caught in a trap and culled in Tokyo. I mean, I don't know how far into Tokyo. Tokyo's huge, so maybe it was the very outskirts, but even
Yeah.
so, you need to deal with these bears, Japan.
Yes.
That's not
Forcefully. Like forcefully.
nuts. Okay, so let's move on to something a little more entertaining,
Hmm.
uh, although actually somewhat related. Did you want to talk about the Laramie gunsmith?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me. Let me capture this window. All right, so Laramie Gunsmith's $24,000 fine rifles are works of art made for serious hunting. Um, Laramie gunsmith Nathan Heineke has revived the timeless craft of making fine hunting rifles that are practically works of art and sell for $24,000 or more, but they aren't meant to hang on walls. They're built for serious hunting. Mark Hines is just prolific at Cowboy State Daily. Um, Also,
Can
for
we talk about
anyone
his photo?
wondering,
Sorry.
yeah, this
Continue. Continue.
the goatee is like the state beard of Wyoming. It's
Hmm.
astonishing. I moved here and grew one, and I'm definitely not the only one.
Yeah.
Um, how much you want to bet this is the only suit he owns, and he
I was
put it
gonna
on
say.
just for this picture? Because that is pretty dated.
I was gonna say it doesn't look very well fitted. I mean, he looks fine. It's just, if we're gonna put on
Our fashion.
our fashion hats briefly, yes, it's not the best fitted suit. Although his sleeves at least show some of his undershirt.
Yeah, the suit.
Yeah.
The thing is, the suit is fitted okay. It's just an
Yeah.
older cut. Um,
Okay. Well, there's my knowledge of men's fashion.
yeah, like it.
Exposed for what it is, anyway.
It's just very, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Mark Hines here writes, each rifle that Nathan Heineke makes is a thing of beauty, the result of hundreds of hours of painstaking craftsmanship that carry price tags that might rival those of many people's vehicles. Even so, the last thing he wants is for them to be vainly displayed on walls. NL Heineke rifles are meant for hunting, frequently hardcore African safari hunting for dangerous games. A lot of it, which is to say rifle hunting, goes back to my passion for hunting and my respect for the hunt, said the Laramie, Wyoming gunsmith. It's as much about honoring the traditions of the craft and the trade as it is about honoring the hunt, the animal, and the pursuit. His work doesn't reflect modern trends such as composite rifle stocks or red dot laser optics. Instead, he sticks to the old traditions of rich wooden stocks and blued steel barrels and actions. I consider myself not as an artist, but an artisan. My craft is as a gun maker, not a gunsmith, which is, um, I wouldn't say that this art is dead because it does still exist. You can still go out and get something like this from Mauser or um, more likely something like Holland and Holland. But that's even more expensive. That's, if you want a Holland and Holland shotgun from the gun maker, it's cough up, $100,000. So really, 24,000 by comparison is cheap.
It's a deal. What a deal. Facade, I found an incredible deal on a rifle today. You won't believe the savings. I just, need to buy it now before someone else does. Any wives of guys who like guns will understand where that conversation
Yes,
goes.
yes. Um, so Heineke was raised in Gillette and grew up hunting. During the summers of his youth, he worked at the local public library. I was in charge of putting up the used books that were going for sale, he said. That's how he came across a book by master gunmaker James Howe. I was fascinated by that book. I read it like a novel, he said. That's how the seed of rifle making was planted in him, though it would take a while for it to blossom. He was blessed with creativity, but wasn't sure what to do with it as he headed off to college at the University of Wyoming, where he ended up going to art school. I really had no intention of being an artist. All I wanted to do was get through the university as quickly as possible with a degree. It was quite by random chance that he ended up in the art program. Registration was in the Union Ballroom at UW, and I've got a low-grade claustrophobia over standing in lines. He initially considered being a history major, but the line for that registration table was long. I just happened to glance over to the art table, the visual arts department, and nobody was in line there, so I just walked over and became an art student, and that was that.
Oh, that's like the Futurama episode where Fry goes to college and
Go, yes,
it's like, Professor, what class are you teaching? Oh, I picked a topic that no one will like enroll in. It'll make my job so easy.
right,
Great, I'm signing up for it.
yeah, jeez. I, any kids listening, don't do that.
Yeah,
Be
maybe plan just a little better.
be a little more deliberate about your choice in majors. Um, that's that's a poor way to go about doing it.
Yeah, it takes a very specific kind of person and personality to make a choice like that and then make it work. And I think this guy is one of those people, but it's not a majority of the population.
That's not the norm. People who do that generally end up.
As Air Force pilots.
No, I was thinking the other people who just make decisions
Mhm.
like that generally bounce from thing to thing, never quite
Oh,
land on something, and end up, working at the grocery store deli when they're
oh, okay.
75.
I was thinking of the instances of people like that who do that, but they can be successful. So I was like,
Oh,
Air
yeah,
Force
those people
pilots.
are rare.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I was not sparing Air Force pilots there. I was
yeah.
anyway.
So while attending art school, he took elective classes in machine tool operations, gaining skills that would serve him well later. And that's worth noting.
Hmm.
It's there's a lot of machining operations that go into gunsmithing, and often in strange ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect with standard machining work. But oh, geez. Um, for about 4 years after college, he worked a series of odd jobs. He had dreams of someday being a gun maker, but wasn't sure about how to go about doing it. In 1996, his girlfriend at the time got an offer to study in Scotland, and Heineke agreed to take a trip there to visit her. The trouble was, I didn't have two pennies to rub together. Um, while working an odd job in Gillette, he met a trucker who was looking for a good place to eat, and the two struck up a conversation. Heineke recalls telling the trucker about wanting to go to Scotland to see his girlfriend, but thinking it would be impossible. Um, he looked me straight in the eye and told me, "You're going to take that trip." That gave Heineke the resolve to set his worries aside and find a way to make it to Scotland. The trip itself was horrible. I was supposed to be there 10 days, but ended up staying 2. He discovered that his girlfriend by then had moved on and was seeing somebody else. And
Oh,
that is just a
oh
dick
no.
move. Hey, I'm coming to see you. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to go date somebody before you even come visit.
Oh my God.
Oh, hey, I I got ahead of myself here. Um, the trip wasn't a waste and instead was a source of inspiration. I took advantage of being there to visit gun shops in England, and he saw the work of towering legends in the hunting arms world, prestigious brands such as Holland and Rigby, and those are beautiful guns. Um, if I win the lottery, I won't tell anybody, but there will be signs. And one of those signs is going to be a lovely Holland double rifle in my safe.
Yes.
Um, he says, that was my first exposure to world-class work. Previously, I had only seen photos of that grade of rifles in magazines. That's when he decided he had to be a rifle maker. I thought to myself, I can do this. Not only is this truly what I want to do, but I can do this, he said. Heineke started building a few rifles when he had time and built up a portfolio of his work. I had to find a photographer for my portfolio. That was hard because guns are notoriously difficult to photograph, and that is correct. Setting up light boxes just for gun parts is hard, but the whole gun overall is shockingly difficult to photograph because it's got a lot of detail in
Hmm.
the furniture, but also a lot of curved surfaces around the barrel, and you want it to be well polished so it reflects the light. But because it reflects the light, the lighting of the gun has to be exactly right. Um,
I
for
picture it. Mhm. I picture it being up there with food photography in difficulty, if not worse.
It might be worse, to
Yeah,
be honest,
yeah.
because it's so
It's an
many of the parts are so reflective. Um,
yes. Plus they're long. They're like big and long. So if you zoom
right,
out far enough, you need a camera that can still
right.
pull out the yeah.
It's one of those, yes. Photographing rifles is shockingly difficult. If you want surprisingly good examples of rifle photography, see an Arsenal, the firearms history YouTube channel, uses white boxes, and Matthias there has gotten pretty good at photographing firearms, although frequently he's taking pictures of older military stuff that isn't as polished, so the reflection portion isn't as big a deal. Um, but let me continue. He started sending out samples of his portfolio. That finally paid off when he got a job offer from an American gun company, Griffin and Howe, at their New Jersey shop. The Howe in the company name was James Howe, whose book had inspired Heineke years earlier. He ended up working for Griffin and Howe from 1999 to 2004. As much as he appreciated the opportunity and everything he learned, eventually he came to a point where he needed to grow to strike out on his own. A client, whom Heineke identified only as Daniel, was an astute businessman. One evening over dinner, he opened up to Daniel about his frustration with his current job and his desire to move on. And honestly, I also would not want to live in New Jersey.
And yeah, I was gonna say New Jersey. Sacrifices we make for our dreams. Sorry.
Yeah, um, not would not want to live in New Jersey if I had grown up in Wyoming. Um, Daniel agreed to coach him in matters of business, and Heineke credits him for sharing the knowledge it took to establish his own brand. For most of the 20 years he's been in business, Heineke has built custom rifles, each crafted exactly to a client's wants and needs. His work reflects, quote, the wonderful, rich legacy of finely crafted hunting weapons, he said. The English term for a custom ordered, expertly crafted item is bespoke. I've been in the business of bespoke firearms. There's no rushing such work. Heineke has produced as few as 1 and as many as 7 rifles each year. Um, on the low end, they sell for around $24,000. The most expensive rifle he was ever involved in making sold for roughly $80,000 for the sum total of his work plus that of a custom engraver. Um, Heineke works in the basic hunting rifle formats: single shot rifles, double barreled rifles, or bolt action rifles. Some of them come with mounts for scopes, others are outfitted for iron sights or aperture peep sights. He's Aperture sights are iron sights. They are a subset of iron sights. It's okay, fine.
Cowboy State Daily, come on now.
Yes. Gun stocks are made from walnut because they have to be, because that's what gun stocks are made of. Heineke has made rifles chambered for just about every hunting cartridge in existence. However, most of his rifles are in heavy-hitting safari cartridges designed for taking down dangerous game, like Cape Buffalo, with quick shots at close range. Some of those include 458 Lot, 450 Rigby, 416 Rigby, and 375 Holland and Holland. And I think 375 Holland and Holland is generally considered like the bottom end of safari rifle cartridges. Anything less powerful than that, you don't want. Um,
Yeah.
Heineke knows firsthand the value of a rifle that can be aimed quickly and hits hard. I've hunted Cape buffalo quite a bit. Buffaloes, when they see you, they are upset. When they wake up in the morning, they're upset. They're always upset, he said.
Basically, just don't mess with the Cape Buffalo
Correct.
unless you're, prepared and able to kill them.
Yeah, the buffalo are gnarly. That is a very pretty rifle. Um,
Gorgeous.
he's gotten a good photographer to light that because the stock's well lit. You get the reflections, but it's not washing anything out.
Yeah.
Um, the key to making an excellent hunting rifle is building good balance into it, Heineke said. Hunting rifles need good handling qualities to be uncomplicated and well balanced. The interface of the forearm, the front part of the rifle stock, and the grip is paramount, he said. They need to be getting your hands feeling the same thing and working in concert together, he said. With a well-balanced rifle, it's effortless. It takes all of the effort out of shooting. The natural flexibility of the wooden stocks also dissipates the wicked recoil produced by setting off massive safari hunting cartridges. Um, I'm compared to synthetic, maybe, but I suspect you're going to be pretty uncomfortable regardless.
Yes.
I don't I don't think this is true that wooden stocks are more temperature stable than synthetic rifle stocks. Um,
Oh.
oh, And there's our small child awake. So anyway, that turns out there's a Wyoming gunsmith in Laramie making English style bespoke rifles, which, boy, someday I sure would like to give him my custom. And that's Mrs. Facade's cue to sign off. You got me for a little while longer. Let me have another look at Cowboy State Daily here, and we'll see what we got. There might be something else interesting here. Do do do. Why is there a Wyoming news article about the Edmund Fitzgerald? Let's see. Hmm, let's see. Something about. Let's see. Coal. YDOT can't fund itself. I love this state, but we do need some taxes to run our friggin' roads, as much as I hate that. Um, yeah, let's have a look at. Hmm, early rural telephones. Let's see what that's like. Wyoming history. Early rural telephones were convenient and dangerous. This is news to me. In 1881, telephone service arrived in the modern city of Cheyenne, Wyoming. But for most rural residents, phones did not become common until decades later, partly because without insulators, lightning, lightning strikes proved dangerous. And I would love to get a really old sort of candlestick style rotary phone. You can buy converters to convert the rotary signal into um, a touchtone digital signal, and I would just love that. That would really tickle my Luddite tendencies. Wyoming pioneer Nellie Gatliff Sargent had a great fear of electrical storms, and her family witnessed firsthand the dangers of having a telephone during one of these storms. Sargent had arrived in the Arvada Territory in Wyoming in 1922 with her husband and three young children. As storm clouds gathered in the wide open skies, she would keep her eye out for cyclones, hail, and lightning. Her daughter, Ruth Sargent Nelson, recalled how her mom would hurry the children inside the house during these storms. My mother always made us three children keep away from the screens and open doors, but especially the telephone. Nelson said in a 1984 interview for the Arvada Historical Society. The first phone lines on these rural ranches were run along barbed wire fences, and in later years, insulators were fastened to fence posts' tops. Sergeant's fears proved warranted when lightning struck the family's fence line. Um, they did not have insulators at the time, and the result could have been deadly. A round bolt of electricity came out of the mouthpiece of the telephone and rolled all across around the living room before going out through the screen, Nelson said. So I guess Mother had reason for a legitimate fear. That's impressive. I hadn't thought about it, but I suppose that makes sense. Um, wow. Another time, Ruth recalled how she and her father were outside in an electrical storm, shooing the chickens into their coop to get them out of the rain, which you have to do because chickens are stupid. Lightning hit the phone wire that connected the fence to our house, Ruth said. The wire was cut in two, and one piece hit my dad and me on top of our heads and really knocked us flat. About scared us all to death, and the top of our heads were sore for several days. That's interesting. It's rare to find a phone. In rural Wyoming, it was rare to find a phone hanging in a private residence, and if there was one, it was usually connected to a private line that the rancher and/or community had rigged up along their fence lines. These lines only went as far as the next ranch over, but connected isolated families with each other. Yeah, that makes sense. Your needs in a more local world, your needs are more local as well. So who cares about contacting Cheyenne or any further than that? You just need to be able to reach the next ranch over. Wow, wasn't until the 1950s that commercial telephone carriers came into many communities. I guess that makes sense. Um, we, I remember growing up, we had a party line when I was very young, living in the mountains in Colorado, and that was pretty late. That was 90s, so it took a while. So I could see 1950s being when commercial telephone carriers arrived. Before modern times came to these isolated ranches, in order to place calls, most residents would have to make a long trip into town, usually by horseback or foot. Enterprising ranchers like the Sargents didn't wait for companies to come in and built their own telephone lines, though their service would only run a few miles away to the next ranch over. The Sargent's phone, which had survived the lightning strike, was modern for its time. Nelson described it as a beautiful hardwood box with a crank on the side to call and a black receiver to hold to your ear. Our telephone line was only the barbed wire fences skirting the ranches, so much of the time when the cows broke a fence line, it was out of order until someone fixed the break in the line. The reason for installing the phone was so that the family could call Nelson's grandparents, who lived on a farm down the road 3 miles away. Her grandfather was ill with cancer, and they needed to be in contact in case he took a turn for the worse. It was very limited as to communication, but how thrilling to be able to talk to them during the long, cold winters. And they are long and cold. Elsewhere in Sheridan County, other ranchers had also installed their own private lines. Two lines had been built as a community effort by the ranchers along Badger Creek, known as the 77 and 79 telephone lines. These lines were first installed in the early spring of 1907. Rancher Manville Kendrick said that George Brewster, another local rancher, had cut cedar posts on his ranch and hauled them all along Badger Creek to help establish the phone service, but not without difficulty. Wow. The ground was covered with ice and snow when a wagon pulled in at dusk to the OA Ranch. John Turner and Horatio Burns were surprised to see Brewster limping into the barn and hurried to help him unhook the team. When they asked him what was wrong, he told them how he had gotten off the wagon because the horses were having a tough time pulling the heavily loaded wagon through a cut and up a hill on Wall Creek. The horses weren't shod and the ground was frozen and covered with ice, Kendrick said. Somehow Brewster slipped and fell, and the wagon ran over his legs. Ow. Nice little entertaining puff piece. By the mid 1940s, businesses in Arvada had installed telephones, though the service was still maintained privately. Hmm. Yep, party lines. There we go. Range Telephone Co-op came in and installed party lines with 9 people on each line by 1951. Um, Over the years, the co-op continued to improve service into these rural areas, and residents marveled when, by the 1980s, everyone had their own private line. Today, each home has one or more phones, dial or push button type, made of plastic, Floyd said in 1984. Times have changed. How did we ever get along without the telephone? And boy, doesn't that ring even today. You wonder how you ever managed to get by without being able to contact somebody at a moment's notice. And it was harder. You'd arrange to meet somebody somewhere and you'd just have to show up and hope they did too. Incredible. Well, this has been a lovely evening. Let me see if Twitch will let me raid into someone else. I suspect the answer is no, but hey, we'll find out. Hmm. Well, let's see. Kirscha's online doing, oh God, financial audit. Good luck, everybody. Still not letting me raid. Okay, well, we're all gonna just have to accept that the stream's just gotta end. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and a wonderful end to your weekend. I will be back tomorrow, possibly with or without my better half, and I think instead of just yapping for hours, we might play some Deep Rock Galactic or some Stardew Valley, or who knows? Maybe we'll find something else to play. Hmm. Maybe Dominion. That could be fun.